Peter Parker was played and embarrassed by none other than Tombstone. What is he gonna do about it? Well, he's gonna fight back. All this and more on the pages of The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 5. Let's hop on in together and find out what happens next, shall we? So then, picking up directly from where the last issue left off, Spider-Man was tricked by Lonnie Lincoln Tombstone into taking out his rival in a New York gang war, Richard Fist the Rose. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, wait, didn't the Rose hire Digger, that gamma monster, to come on in and be his specialty muscle? Why wasn't he at the attack? Well, here's the funny thing about that, he was off getting ice cream. And by the time Digger finally makes it back to the hideout, everyone's already been beaten up and arrested, so yeah, chances are he's not getting paid by the Rose, and he's almost certainly on his hit list now too for his failure. Now back over with Spider-Man, he is understandably despondent right now. He can't remember the last time he's been so played, so embarrassed, and so manipulated by a villain, let alone a villain like Tombstone. He's not some mad scientist, he's not some master planner, he's just a gangster from Harlem, and yet he really managed to get one over on the old webhead. Obviously, Peter wants to get even with Lonnie, but he has no idea how to do it, and speaking of Lonnie, he's all gloating right now. He's won his gang war and done it in excellent fashion. Oh sure, the other gang bosses in the city are a little suspicious about how he managed to get it done. Hammerhead even implies that, oh, you wouldn't be working with Spider-Man, would you? If so, that would be real bad for your health. But Tombstone is so cool and so slick, he manages to play the whole thing off, saying, yeah, Spider-Man tried to rattle my cage and stop the gang war, but I beat him up good, beat him up so bad he went for the softer target that was the Rose. And as far as roughing up the Crime Master goes, meh, it's not like anyone likes Crime Master anyway, right? There's been like 7 of them and no one's liked any of them. Now Spider-Man ends up going underground for a bit to lick his wounds, and we know this is the case because that debt collector is back again on his doorstep even after getting paid off to leave him alone for a little bit. Black Cat decides to look him up in civilian form, and the debt collector even hits on her for a little bit. Oh yeah, this guy's really auditioning to be the next great Spider-Man foe, am I right? When Felicia does finally manage to catch Spider-Man coming back in via the roof, he's still all puffy and beaten up from his battle with the Rose's henchmen. Black Cat says that the streets have been talking and that she's deeply worried about her friend Peter, that he just hasn't been the same, not since Beyond and Ben, but especially not since 6 months ago when that mysterious event, whatever it is, happened. Black Cat says that someone like Tombstone probably wouldn't have been able to get the best of Spider-Man were he at 100%, but he's not, and that because he's fighting hurt. He's fighting with a broken heart. Again, feel free to read into that whatever you want. Lord knows the writer certainly wants you to, but it's what Black Cat says next that I actually really quite enjoy. She says that Spider-Man needs to dig deep in order to get back to his old self, and that he's never more himself when he's having fun while fighting crime. It is who he is at the end of the day. And you know what? These words really do end up resonating with Peter. The next day, he's up at 6 a.m. to try and go spy on Tombstone's operation. It seems that he's moving his stuff from his old warehouse to some of the new turf that he was able to steal away from the Rose. They don't say exactly what they're moving, but I can only assume it's drugs. They just refer to it as product. Spider-Man also opts to pay Digger a visit. He's also running scared right now, figuring that if the Rose doesn't get out of jail and kill him first, Tombstone certainly will. He's also hiding in the ruins of the Rose's old hideout, figuring no one would look for him there, and you know what? It's not a bad idea. Spider-Man fights him for a bit, but he's not actually here to take him in. Instead, he's here to give him an offer. Spider-Man thinks he knows exactly how Digger can get back his street cred and get back in the Rose's good book all at once. But where is Tombstone while all of this is going on? Well, you won't believe he's actually having brunch with his new in-law, Robbie Robertson. Yeah, Lonnie's feeling himself right now. He's defeated his old foe, manipulated another, and now he's breaking bread with yet another enemy. He feels pretty damn untouchable. But you know what they say, right, about pride coming before the fall? Well, that fall's name is Spider-Man. Peter managed to sneak inside his house, so the two men can have themselves a little sit-down. Peter admits that Tombstone got one over on him. He embarrassed him, and in a situation like this, who's a superhero supposed to turn to? It's not like he can go tell the cops or the Avengers or anything. So really, Lonnie's the only one that Peter can talk to, and what does he have to say? Oh, well, this is where things get very interesting. Spider-Man says that they did pretty good together working as a team, right? They took down the Rose in an afternoon. Maybe they should make this arrangement permanent going forward. Spider-Man could look over Tombstone's deals, go after his competition. Oh, sure, the other gang bosses would be absolutely absolutely livid once they found out, and they would find out. In fact, they'd probably be so angry it would paint a giant target on Tombstone's back and his entire family. It's only right here and now, though, at the very end, does Tombstone realize that Spider-Man is using his own tactics against him. He's also tricked him into a no-win scenario. You see, it's at that moment he gets a call from White Rabbit saying that his brand new warehouse is under attack and all of his brand new product getting destroyed by a vengeful Digger. Lonnie can either work with Spider-Man and get Digger to stop, or he can kiss all of that product and hard work he's done goodbye. So yeah, it doesn't matter what choice he makes, Tombstone still loses. And you know what? As livid as he truly is, at the end of the day, Tombstone's gotta respect Spider-Man's game on this one. He didn't think the webhead could get this Cerebral. He underestimated him, much like Spider-Man underestimated Tombstone. In fact, the two men have a much better understanding of each other right here, right now. Spider-Man even says he's sorry that Lonnie lived a life of such hunger for so long. Because really, when you break it down, Peter knows full well what it's like to be hungry, to want and never to have. But the big difference between Peter and Lonnie is Peter knows what's right and what's wrong, which is why as the comic comes to a close, he takes Aunt May up on her dinner invitation from a couple issues ago. He has to make up a story about why he's so beaten up, but for the first time all arc, it looks like he's actually trying to put his life back in order. And so that was Amazing Spider-Man issue number 5, everyone. A really unexpected ending to an unexpected little arc. It's fun to see Peter Parker forced to think outside the box and find a creative way to defeat a villain. You know, instead of just punching his lights out and be done with it. It's also interesting, too, to see Spider-Man find a begrudging respect for one of his villains, especially someone like Tombstone. Hats off to Zeb Wells for really digging deep into the villain and trying to find some common ground with Peter and Spider-Man and the ways in which their origin stories kind of cross over in the big creative Venn diagram. I always love getting a fun character portrait, but I know for some people that's not going to be enough, and some people are going to continue to complain that we didn't get enough movement on the Mary Jane story. Geez, it's like they keep drawing it out because they want you to keep buying the book to get the answer to the question that's burning a hole in your head. Overall, I'd give this one a very positive 8 out of 10. Again, I was surprised by this arc, and I don't get surprised by Spider-Man stories near enough these days. Hey there everyone, Kate Joel again, and I just want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. And hey, if you enjoyed the book I covered in this issue and want some comics of your own, might I recommend Book Depository? It's my #1 place for shopping for comic book trades. You get a great price, and if you use my link down in the description, you'll actually be helping me out at the same time. You get something, I get something, everybody wins, right? So until next time everyone, I've been Joel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.